Everyone, I'm Mia Fabrizio. I'm a recent graduate of SMFA and a recipient of an MFA from the program. I have the pleasure today to sit here with a cohort member, Marla McLeod, who is also a co-exhibitor in the Gallery 263 Emerge 2020 virtual exhibition that is now online. So Marla, tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I am graduating from the SMFA this year with my MFA. That's the SMFA at Tufts. And a bit about myself. Born and raised in California, through Seattle, I don't know, Vegas, Connecticut, and now Boston. So, yeah, I don't know. I guess that's a lot about myself.
Okay. So we can see your work right now in the Emerge 2020 show that's online through Gallery 263. We also had a virtual exhibition as part of our culminating thesis work. Do you want to talk a little bit about that experience of having your work be exhibited virtually? I know for both of us, it was kind of a big difference than experiencing the work in person. So maybe some of the challenges of both completing the work and then for maybe for people to then view the work as well.
Right. With that was actually, it presented some really interesting challenges. In that, first of all, one of the main ideas that I use in my work is scale. And so once you take an item out of the physical space and put it into the virtual space, no matter how large I create my work, it's going to be as large as your screen. So thinking about ideas like that has been a challenge. But I did continue to, the other challenge has been space, because I do create big things, right? I've been running out of walls really quickly. So those are some of the challenges. Of course, got past those, timing, literally timing paint dry. Yeah. But we got past that. And we got the exhibition up, so that was great.
I can relate and empathize with those three elements as well, definitely. Has your process changed, or moving forward, are you thinking about making the work you have been a little differently, or have things progressed in a different kind of direction? Or like some of us, are you just stubbornly marching on?
No, I think that it has definitely expanded the way that I'm thinking about the work and about presentation and about viewers and how the work is being accessed, how the way that it's being accessed affects the work. And so, I mean, those are things that I am thinking about currently now, which are things that I wasn't thinking about before. So is that going to change the work? I mean, overall, we'll see. It depends on what I want to say. I'm still about, material usage, how it's being used, why it's being used, so on and so forth. So I think that the mediums it's a matter to me. It matters.
And the work that you have been doing, they're large-scale portraits of Black women. Mm-hmm. I think they range from like 7 to 8 feet, almost square, in traditional oil-painted, realistic style. And besides virtually, if you're cruising through Cambridge, I think right now you can see 2 of those works in the windows of Gallery 263. Is that correct? Are they still up?
Yes, they are. They're going to be up for a while. I'm super excited about that. Yes, the paintings, they are large scale right now. I have considered doing what I consider small scale, which are like, I don't know, 30 by 42s. I mean, those are tiny to me, but I have considered that, but in a different way. I'm thinking of some stuff with
So
paint.
let's talk about audience a little bit then. We have you have the walker by in Cambridge who might see the work or come upon the work. I think the medium of a virtual exhibition has both maybe widened our audience, potentially. It may have limited in the way that people weren't able to come to the gallery and see it in person, but it also gave us maybe a bit of a wider base. Has either the use of social media or the virtual exhibition changed your audience, or do you have a specific audience in mind in viewing these? Or I don't know, do you want to expand on that a little?
have a specific viewer in mind other than the viewer just literally being people alive on Earth. But I think that, I mean, I use social media. I like social media. It's just another platform for your voice. And artists, what we do is essentially put our voices out there in whatever manner that we choose to. And it's just another way of doing that. So a wider audience, I suppose, because it's kind of merging the two worlds right now. This is kind of forcing sort of the analog prone to become digital. And so it is expanding that audience in that way as well. So, yeah.
Has it expanded in your own process at all? I know both of us are pretty analog in the way that we make work. We use the technology for reference. We use technology for tools, but ultimately the product is a very hands-on kind of analog oriented artwork that stems from it. Have you thought any differently about that
actually
in this time?
Yeah, presentation. One of the things that I have been trying to do is trying to keep up with is sort of the idea of doing maybe or the time videos, right?
The time lapse.
Time lapse. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So I have been thinking about that, like doing time lapse videos of the process as I'm working. And so that way people still get, even though I get to make this hands-on or this very tactile piece of work, people get to walk through that process with me. So they actually get to see what I'm doing. And it's not just that finalized project, right? It's something that people can, like a journey that they can go on with you. Because really, when I begin my textiles, girl, it is.
Oh, I know, I've seen you bead by bead, and I'm kind of laughing right now because I know that you do a lot of the time lapse. I've done a few time lapse. Carly likes to do the time lapse, and I'm almost getting frustrated at them because I know how long these processes really take us, and I know the attention span of us when we're like flipping through the screen, or even our viewers, and I'm like, I think that we should actually do slow motion videos and really like drag this process out a little bit further, because I don't know, time is a really weird thing right now. Being isolated, being quarantined. So I think everyone is looking for instant gratification almost faster than we were before, because we're being deprived of kind of this interaction. So I almost thought about like flipping the script a little bit.
Oh,
yeah.
Could you imagine?
Kind of, yeah. I've been thinking about it actually, because the two of you, you and Carly, doing all these time lapse, I'm like, I know you all aren't walking around that fast, because we all stand there and stare at walls and stare at like the bead we just sewed on, or the carve we just made, the paint stroke, for like a while before the next thing happens.
Absolutely agree. And in the time lapse videos, like those moments, like I know that I stood there for at least 5 minutes staring at this piece of red fabric, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the time-lapse videos, it's like it was, I don't know, a fraction of a second. It's
right. Right. And in a world when, you know, things get commodified and it's like, well, how long could that have possibly taken you? That did not take me that short amount of time to finish that. And regardless, that shouldn't be the quantification or of the piece anyway. But it just struck me a little bit as funny.
I know, but playing with
yeah,
that would be real fun.
but yeah, the time that we're living now and the interaction of people with the COVID-19 and also activism playing a huge role in all of our minds, all of our works, but it was something that really existed in your work before the world kind of blew up, and it became a daily thought in, I hope, everyone's mind, at least by now. But yeah, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I have I'm currently so my work is going to continue in that same vein. It is going to have that what would be activism.
Well, let's back it up just 1 second. We did mention that your portraits are in the traditional style of large-scale oil painting. Your subject matter isn't necessarily in line with that tradition because it's not very often we see Black women depicted in the way you are. So maybe you talk about the way you are depicting them, excuse me. Maybe you talk a little bit about why and how and who. Hit some of those W's.
Oh yeah. So the why is because racism is rampant in America. The how, I do use the painting, I use the painting to depict the person. I use the textiles to depict their characters. And then I use the garments, the mannequins, the sculpture to really dig into the historical, like the history of African Americans.
And some of the literature and theory from
exactly the experiences that these that we have gone through are the major, well, what I consider to be important subjects. Like I deal a lot with the image and representation, and this is why I'm using garments and sculptures and things like that, paintings.
And those are so the garments are separate from the sculptures. There's two different realms within which you're working.
Well, the garments are part of the sculptures, but a major.
Oh, I'm sorry, I meant to say, excuse me, separate from the paintings.
Painting.
There's garments which are a sculptural element, but then there's also the paintings which have the representation of the women on them, which also have a textile element as well, but are separate from the sculpture ones. Okay.
Yes, there's a lot of.
I mean, folks are like looking at us. I'm not sure if they're looking at the work too. So
all of it
kind of decipher.
Yeah. Yes, it is. It is. There are a lot of elements to it, but the I think that the activism within it is sort of, because I am taking the Black body and depicting it in a manner which is, it's really about the viewer looking at this image and really contemplating to themselves, is there actually something wrong? This is a person. That's the first thing you're going to look at, right? Then what is it that is here? What is it that you can see about this person? You can see their skin tone. You can see their face. You can see their eyes. They're looking directly at you. You're looking at the phenotypical aspects of these people. And then people automatically will assign certain characteristics to individuals based off of these features. However, I wanted to really think about how there are more to these people, more to Black people, more to people with certain phenotypical features than what you see. And it's really important in and of this moment, because what we see is people can look like anything, but have the cultural backgrounds that go or are anything else. It's unexpected. Every single individual, you can't judge a book by its cover, right? So on the what I paired with the paintings were these textiles in which I used patterns and ideas from Mali mud cloths, which offer like symbolism of protection. And I added quotes from the individual's mothers so that you could see the differences in the actual cultures. Although when you look at these paintings, the women all appear to be African American, you will say, oh, these are Black women. But when you look at the back and you see these textiles, I wanted to use that Mali feature in order to unify. And then also the mother's quotes in order to show those differences. This woman is Jamaican. This language that you see here is Patois. This woman is Dominican. What you see here is Spanish. I hope that's correct. But
or the Dominican dialect of
right,
Spanish.
you'll see the accompanying dialect to that individual on the front. You also see what I asked for from the women were quotes from their mothers that were offered as words of advice, words of protection, things to lead their daughters in their lives forward, right? And these all are different. But when you look at those, even as individuals, as people who are not even from these cultures, you can relate because your mother has said the same thing to you in their own way. So these people may look the same, they are very different. We have things that are in common.
And I think that's a thread. I think it runs through actually a lot of the work in our cohort, but I think specifically the work that I make and the work that you make, when after you get past the surface of them looking different, where I'm using wood, I'm using architecture, but we're both talking about those layers. We're both talking about history and experience that have been passed down or experienced by individuals.
Yes,
and like almost like a Venn diagram, even though we belong in certain groups and we have a foot, no one really cleanly fits within one box. So for you to discriminate against someone because of just this visual surface or what you think you know, you're not valuing the whole compilation of the individual, all of those layers.
Exactly. And I've seen it described as sort of an extreme individualism or things like that. But I think that it's not about having to make an equal space. It's just allowing space for everyone to exist, right? You can allow for differences in people. And if you can combine these things, it can create, come on.
We don't get distracted by these minutiae and we can just value people on the same level. And I think it was, I keep going back to this quote. It was Cam Barker, who's also in our cohort. Yeah. But he was talking about allyship, and he had this one sentence that just keeps ringing over, that it's within our differences we find unity. And it just keeps coming up, I feel like, in my own mind. And I feel like we keep getting distracted by this minutia, by these small differences, and it keeps us really from coming together to stay focused on what the bigger picture is, and whether that's the true enemy or the true challenges that are facing us as a whole.
Yeah, I think one of the challenges is just a matter of accepting those differences. People are going to be different.
Oh, accepting, not exception. Okay, yeah.
With an A.
I see what you did there.
With
okay.
An A.
Yeah.
That's funny. But yeah, so yeah, this is great.
Sweet. So what does the future hold? Are you staying in the Boston area, or I don't know, are you quarantined in a basement?
Like yourself. Congratulations on your postgrad teaching fellowship
and you as well.
SMFA. So I will be in Boston working and trying to exhibit and with that being online, in person,
in the sky, in the air,
and she can
smoke
walk around.
signals.
Oh, hey. But so yeah. So I'm working, just working right now. Literally, I have this like things going on in the background.
Yeah.
You should see my floor; it's a mess.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff.
Yeah, you're working as well.
Yeah. There's some drywall specs and plaster, and my collaborator, my cat laborator, has been trucking over it, so that's good too. So yeah, actually got into the studio today. Nothing has been touched or changed around too much, but I found a little bit of inspiration there, and then came back here and did a little bit more work. So keep moving forward.
Oh yes, excellent. Oh, thank you for sitting and
Yeah,
with me.
it's always a pleasure chatting with you. I miss our studio talks where we catch each other staring at the wall for long periods of time.
Very long periods
and
of
hopefully
time.
we can get back to that
We would
sooner
watch
than later.
see how long is she gonna stare at this wall. You're really funny. No, those time lapses were funny. All right. All right, Mia.
See you later.
All right.